For most of her life, Shiloh Jolie was introduced to the world before she ever had the chance to introduce herself. She was born into one of the most watched families on Earth, raised under cameras she never asked for, and turned into a symbol long before anyone knew who she really was. For years, the world looked at her as one more piece of the Jolie-Pitt story. But now, something feels different. In early April 2026, Shiloh surprised fans by appearing in a teaser for K-pop singer Dayoung's video for What's a Girl to Do. According to People, she was selected through an open audition in the United States, and Starship Entertainment said the team did not initially know she was Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's daughter. And that may be the most important detail of all. Shiloh did not step forward through a red carpet debut, a family interview, or a carefully staged celebrity rollout. She appeared through work, through movement, through performance. That changes the emotional meaning of the moment, because this was not the world being invited to look at Shiloh as a famous daughter again. This felt like the world accidentally catching up to a version of Shiloh that had already begun forming in private. The teaser itself was brief, but the symbolism behind it was much larger. It suggested that after years of being defined by lineage, she may finally be entering public view on terms that feel closer to her own. That reading is an inference, but it fits the way these public milestones have unfolded. That matters even more, because privacy has always seemed central to Shiloh's identity. In a November 2024 interview on Good Morning America, Angelina Jolie said none of her children wanted to be in front of the camera at that time. She described them as quite private and said Shiloh was extremely private. She also said her children weren't born with privacy and that she hoped they could have it as they got older. Those comments now feel especially revealing, because when someone described that way decides to be seen, even briefly, it does not feel casual. It feels intentional. And that is what makes this chapter so compelling. Shiloh is not stepping into the spotlight like someone chasing attention. She seems to be allowing only very controlled glimpses of who she is becoming. That is a very different energy. So many celebrity children become public by leaning into spectacle. Shiloh's story feels quieter than that, more restrained, more deliberate. The power of it comes not from how loud it is, but from how rare it is. The more private a person has been, the more meaningful even a small appearance can become. That is why this moment hit so hard. It did not feel like a stunt. It felt like a signal. That interpretation is an inference, but it is supported by the contrast between her privacy and the small number of public creative appearances tied to her own work. And the truth is, this moment did not come out of nowhere. Shiloh has been building toward it for years, mostly through dance. People noted that she had already drawn attention for earlier dance clips, including a viral routine to Tanzania in 2024, and a 2022 Millennium Dance Complex appearance dancing to Doja Cat's Vegas. The same reporting noted praise from choreographers including Kalani Marks, who highlighted her dedication and growth. That matters because it suggests this is not a random cameo built on family curiosity. There is a visible pattern here. Dance has been one of the clearest through lines in Shiloh's public life, and it now appears to be the medium through which she is slowly shaping an identity beyond the family name. But if the dancing shows the direction of her growth, the name changes reveals something even deeper. In 2024, Shiloh filed on her 18th birthday to remove Pitt from her surname, and a Los Angeles court later granted the petition, changing her name to Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie. It was a major identity decision, but it unfolded without a dramatic statement, without a big interview, and without any obvious attempt to turn it into a public performance. She made a very personal choice, almost in silence. And that silence matters because it matches the pattern of how she seems to move through the world. She does not explain herself much. She simply makes the choice, then lives with it. Then came another quiet but telling move. At an Isabel Marant Net-a-Porter event in Los Angeles in May 2025, Shiloh was credited as a choreographer under She, with coverage later noted the broader She Jolie moniker in some reports. What matters most is not which variation becomes permanent, but what the moment suggested. She was not there as a daughter on display. She was there in a creative role. Vanity Fair reported that she choreographed a dance performed by Keone Rose and Tahaka Suzuki to accompany Luella's live performance. Once again, the pattern repeated itself. Not fame for the sake of visibility, but visibility attached to contribution. Seen together, these moments create a much bigger story. First, the legal name change, then the choreography credit, then the open audition music video appearance. None of them on their own looks explosive, but together they tell us something about how Shiloh is moving into adulthood. She is not exploding out of the Jolie-Pitt shadow with rebellion or scandal. She is editing her way out of it, quietly, carefully, almost one choice at a time. And maybe that is why it feels more powerful than a loud reinvention would have felt. Because what we are seeing is not a performance of independence. It looks more like the actual work of becoming independent. That conclusion goes beyond the reporting, but it is a reasonable inference from the sequence of public events. What makes that especially emotional is that even now, the world still wants to see Angelina first. When Shiloh appeared in Dayoung's teaser, a huge part of the public conversation immediately focused on how much she resembled her mother. Outlets emphasized the similarities in her face, styling, and presence. That reaction says a lot. Even in a moment that could have been read as a sign of her own artistic direction, the first instinct was still to frame her as a reflection of Angelina Jolie. That is the real difficulty of growing up inside a legacy this large. Even your independent moments get filtered through the people who came before you. And yet, Shiloh seems to be responding to that burden in a remarkably mature way. She is not fighting the public reading of her image with speeches or declarations. She's just continuing to build a body of choices that speak differently. The name says one thing, the dance work says another, the open audition says even more. Together, they suggest someone who wants to be selected for skill, trusted with responsibility, and known through craft rather than mythology. That is what makes this chapter more interesting than a standard celebrity update. It is not just about a famous daughter getting attention. It's about a young woman learning how to redirect the meaning of that attention. That reading is an inference, but it is grounded in the documented pattern of her public choices. Maybe that is why Shiloh feels so intriguing right now. A lot of celebrity children inherit visibility. Far fewer earn mystery. Shiloh has become fascinating not because she is louder than the name she was born into, but because she is quieter than it. She does not seem interested in over-explaining herself. She does not appear eager to turn every personal milestone into a public event. Instead, she seems to be letting small moments do the talking. A dance clip here, a choreography credit there, a sudden appearance in a music video teaser that sparks questions because it feels like the beginning of something, even if no one yet knows exactly what that something will become. And that may be the real turning point in her story. For years, people looked at Shiloh and saw a famous child, a symbol, a daughter born into a family so globally recognizable that individuality almost seemed impossible. But what we are watching now may be the first truly adult phase of her life, the phase where identity starts to separate from inheritance. Not all at once, not dramatically, but clearly. She is not trying to erase where she came from. She is simply refusing to let that be the only thing there is to say about her. That conclusion is interpretive, but it fits the public record we have so far. In the end, Shiloh Jolie did not step out of the Jolie-Pitt shadow with scandal, rebellion, or noise. She stepped out of it the way some of the strongest people do, by quietly building something of her own until the world finally noticed that the shadow was no longer the most interesting thing in the frame. And that is what makes her story feel so different right now. Not because she is trying to become famous, but because she seems to be trying to become herself. And for someone who has been watched since birth, that may be the boldest move of all.